ready to go. Okay, so we're going to do taping support for a lateral ankle sprain, so we'll assume that we've got damaged ligaments in this region here, so that's where we're going to put our support. We're going to start with 2 strips of non-stretch tape, just lightly placed onto the skin, and we only go round the limb once with the non-stretch tape, tear off and reapply, simply to avoid the tape getting any tighter and impeding on circulation. Next we're going to put under wrap on, making sure that we don't cover any of the anchors. Just anchor that in place, and then the direction of the under wrap really doesn't matter as long as we cover all the skin that we want to. Okay. The next important thing now is to make sure that the client's foot is dorsiflexed to 90 degrees so that we keep this joint line closed, so that when we put the supports on we keep that nice and tight. First thing to do is to start with a diagonal just above the lateral malleolus. So we start from the injured side, stick the tape in place, take some tape off the reel and go diagonally across the front of the capsule, making sure that we get right onto the thick of that heel pad underneath. That should bring us directly over the lateral malleolus with a straight vertical line coming up the lateral aspect. We only need to stick that bit in place and don't worry too much about the gaps that appear there at this stage, because they'll be pulled in tight later. The next stirrup immediately anchors that one in place, takes almost the same line, and again making sure we're right into the middle of that heel pad. This piece of tape can either go posteriorly or anteriorly, so I've chosen to go posteriorly here. And then the final one again anchors that in place, comes round once again onto the heel pad, and this one goes anteriorly, so that's stuck down like so. If at any stage your client's foot starts to sag and plantar flex during the process, you can just lean against the foot to remind them of that dorsiflex position. So make sure that's stuck in place, and now we go for the next important bit, which is to use 7.5 centimetre elasticated adhesive bandage, or EAB, to put a wrap on over the top. We're now going to apply 2 figures of 8 to add support to the anterior capsule. So we start on the dorsal aspect of the foot because we've got the potential for a ridge where we got the start of the tape. We make sure that's away from the line of the laces. We're going to put this on in tension, so we take it off the reel, pull, and just judge how much tension we're applying. And we go around once, and that's automatically back to the start position. From here, we've got to get an angle onto the leg, so we pull on the edge of the tape. If any wrinkles appear, we can just smooth them out. Go around the back of the limb like so. As you come around the back of the limb, immediately start to be conscious of the angle to go back towards the foot, and again just pull on the edge of the tape, lay that down, smooth it out, and there's your first figure of 8. You're now naturally becoming higher up the foot, so as you come round for the second time you can immediately see that your second figure of 8 is working further up the anterior capsule. At this point you finish, but don't cut the tape off, just hold that in place, and for the first time you can ask your client to move the ankle around and decide whether there's enough support there or not. If they decide not, you can bring the tape back, pull into a third figure of 8, and this time you can go that much tighter because you've got the protection of the first 2 layers. If they're happy with it, then we'll just continue round, finishing and covering all of that first anchor. It's all held tight in place. We cut the tape like so. And at the end, as always, just use the non-stretch tape, because there's plenty of adhesive on this non-stretch tape, to tape off any edges where there's potential for that sort of thing to happen. So we're going to seal off those edges like so. And anywhere else that you think that might happen, so you might want to put bits on here, just depends on what socks and footwear they're wearing. Just glove it all into place before your client steps down onto the floor, and that should now limit inversion. So we've supported a lateral ankle sprain. Okay.